I worked myself to the bone with 2 jobs just to survive meal by meal, while my brother spent the $1,000 a month that Grandma had sent for me. I'm Rachel Moore, 21, and I grew up in the shadow of my brother, Logan, 3 years older. Logan was always the pride of the family. Star athlete, straight-A student, class president from 7th grade through high school. Me. I was just the other kid. When Logan turned 18, my parents gave him a brand new Honda Civic. When I turned 18, I got a cheap backpack and a fast food dinner. I smiled and said thank you, but my heart sank. The only person who truly cared about me was my grandmother, Helen. She never forgot my birthday, always sent handwritten cards, and when I got into college, she hugged me and said, "I'll help you no matter what." I got into a public university in Portland with a 40% tuition scholarship. I had to cover the rest myself. Right after moving into the dorms, I hoped for some support from Grandma, as she had promised. But nothing came. Not a cent. When I called home to ask, my mom snapped over the phone. "Your grandma's tight on money. What do you think cash falls from the sky? Stop being selfish and get a job." So I got a job at a sandwich shop 10 minutes from campus. They let staff take home leftovers at the end of the day, which helped me get by. But it wasn't enough for dorm rent, books, and living expenses, so I picked up a second job as an online content assistant, writing articles on travel and food. I was a full-time student working 2 jobs, getting less than 4 hours of sleep a night. One time, the shop closed for repairs for 5 days, and I had no pay, no food. I lived on water. My roommate Mia noticed. She quietly made extra food and shared it with me. She gave me $20. When my laptop broke, my only work tool, she borrowed $300 from her mom to help me fix it. I noted every cent to pay her back slowly. Meanwhile, Logan. According to my parents, he was studying super hard. Couldn't visit, couldn't call, couldn't even text. I could barely remember what his voice sounded like. Last weekend was Grandma Helen's 75th birthday. I took the bus back to Seattle, bringing a small gift, a framed photo of me and her from my graduation. I dressed neatly, but my stomach was aching from hunger after the long ride. The party was joyful, everyone showed up, except Logan. I asked my parents, "Why didn't Logan come?" "Midterms," my dad said, avoiding eye contact. The table was overflowing with roasted chicken, seared beef, salad, pastries. I nearly cried from joy to finally have a real meal. While people chatted, my cousin Noah suddenly blurted out, "Rachel, you look so skinny. Are you even eating?" Before I could respond, my mom laughed. "She's just on a diet. College girls these days all starve themselves to stay thin." I was about to argue, but Grandma cut in. "No, that's not right. Rachel, you're way too thin." Then she looked at me, eyebrows furrowed. "What have you been doing with the $1,000 I send you each month?" The fork in my hand dropped onto my plate. "Grandma, you've been sending me money?" I gasped, unable to believe what I'd heard. "I never got a single dollar." The room fell silent. Grandma Helen turned to my parents, her voice icy. "Edward, Melissa, tell me, where did the money go?" My mom burst into tears. My dad lowered his head and mumbled, "We used it to pay Logan's debt. He got into online gambling. He's buried in it. We just wanted to save him. We're sorry." That's when I realized. Every missed meal, every sleepless night, every tear I shed, was because they chose to save my brother and sacrifice me. Grandma stood up, calm in a terrifying way. "The party goes on. But you too, my room. Now." They followed her like kids caught stealing. I sat there, numb, speechless. For the first time in my life, I didn't feel alone. The silence behind that door was worse than shouting. I caught a few phrases. "Years of lies." Grandma's voice straining to stay composed, Dad's voice desperate. "No excuse at all." Then Grandma again, firmer. I returned to the table, pushing food around my plate like a robot, my head spinning. About 30 minutes later, my parents walked out of Grandma's office. Mom's eyes were red and swollen. They said nothing, just quietly grabbed their coats and left the house as if they had never been there. 5 minutes later, Grandma returned to the living room, forcing a stiff smile. "Who's ready for cake?" she asked like nothing had happened. The party continued awkwardly. Everyone pretended not to see the elephant in the room. After all the guests had gone, Grandma took my hand and said, "Rachel, don't go home tonight. Stay here a few days, okay?" I nodded, relieved. Just the thought of facing my parents made me feel sick. The next morning, she sat across from me at the kitchen table with a hot cup of coffee. Her eyes were tired, but her voice was calm. "I need to tell you everything I learned yesterday." I gripped my mug. "I never paid your or Logan's tuition directly. I transferred the money to your parents because I thought I could trust them. I don't like all that complicated online banking stuff." She took a sip. "You had a partial scholarship, so instead of the $100,000 I'd set aside, tuition only cost about $40,000. Your parents kept the remaining $60,000 for Logan." My hand shook. I nearly dropped my mug. "But what was Logan even studying?" "They said he was at Riverdale." She looked me straight in the eye. "Logan never went to college, Rachel." "What?" I nearly spilled my coffee. "They said they were sending him far away to cut ties with his gambling friends, hoping a fresh start would help. But no, he found a new crowd just like the old one. That whole busy with school thing was a lie. She gave him $80,000. And the monthly allowance she's been sending you, $1,000 a month, for nearly 2 years. All of it your parents kept." I was speechless. I thought he was studying. Every time I came home, he was glued to his computer. I thought he was doing schoolwork. Grandma nodded. "He was gambling online. Your parents kept paying off his debts, sent him to rehab, hired therapists, but nothing worked." Tears welled up in my eyes. While I was working 2 jobs just to survive. Some weeks I couldn't even afford food. My friend Mia had to share her meals and give me money. When my laptop broke, she borrowed $300 from her mom to help me fix it. Grandma held my hand, her voice full of regret. "I'm sorry, Rachel. I should have checked with you from the beginning." "What now, Grandma?" asked my voice hoarse. "Now all you need to do is study. That's your only responsibility." Her voice grew firm. "From now on, I'm transferring $2,000 a month directly into your account. No one else involved." I stayed at Grandma's house for 3 more days. We talked a lot, about school, friends, and dreams I'd never told anyone before. For the first time in years, I felt like someone was really listening. My parents called several times, but Grandma told them I wasn't ready to talk. And honestly, I didn't know when I would be. When it was time for me to return to school, Grandma drove me to the bus station. Right before I got on, she slipped a small envelope into my hand. "Emergency fund," she said. "And don't argue with me about it." I went back to school a different person. The first thing I did was quit the online writing job. Thanks to Grandma's help, I could focus on studying and only work weekends at the sandwich shop. I bought a few new outfits, stocked my mini fridge with real food, and paid back every cent I owed Mia. For the first time since starting college, I wasn't constantly exhausted and starving. My grades improved. I even joined a study group. It felt like stepping out of a dark room into the daylight. 2 months later, I was sitting in the school library when someone gently tapped my shoulder. I looked up and saw Grandma Helen, smiling brightly. "Pop quiz," she said loud enough to earn a glare from the librarian. "Grandma!" I jumped up and hugged her. "What are you doing here?" "Just wanted to make sure at least one grandchild is actually going to college," she said with a playful wink. "Want to grab lunch? I have something to tell you." We went to the campus cafe. Just as the sandwiches arrived, she dropped another bombshell. "I've updated my will." Her voice was calm, like she was talking about the weather. "You're now the primary beneficiary." I almost choked on my drink. "What? Why me?" "Your parents have already received over $200,000 from me. That was their share." She took a bite of her sandwich, unfazed. I've already informed them. They're not happy, but I don't care. Grandma, I don't need. I started. It's not about need, she interrupted. It's about trust. I trust you'll use what I leave you wisely. Her eyes were filled with pride. You've been through so much without resentment or losing your dignity. That says a lot about who you are. I was choked up. After so many years of being the forgotten child, I was finally seen, acknowledged. Thank you, Grandma, I whispered. Not so fast, she said, her tone turning serious. Your parents might come to you. They won't let this go easily. Be ready. And she was right. Just a week later, my parents showed up at my dorm. No warning. No text. Mia saw them and immediately made an excuse to leave. Dad sat in my desk chair. Mom sat on Mia's bed, looking thinner than the last time I saw her, with dark circles under her eyes. We need to talk, Dad started. I crossed my arms, trying to keep my voice calm. What do you want? You should talk to your grandmother. About the will, Mom said. No apology. No concern. No. Listen, we're your parents, Dad said, like that alone should be enough. I laughed, a dry, bitter laugh that made them both flinch. My parents. That didn't stop you from taking my college money. What happened with Logan? You don't understand, Mom said, tears brimming. No, because no one ever told me anything. I moved farther away from them, back against the wall. While I was struggling every day, you told everyone Logan was doing great in school. You're exaggerating, Mom said dismissively. It wasn't that bad. Something inside me snapped. Not that bad. I practically shouted. What does that even mean, Mom? That I had to eat customers' leftovers during shifts because I was starving. That I wore the same 3 outfits for 2 years. That I cried when my laptop broke because I had no way to fix it. And you're telling me it wasn't that bad. Mom blinked, trying to say something but failing. He needed help, Rachel, she said, trying to justify it. He's an addict, he's sick. And what about me? Didn't I deserve help too? Dad changed tactics, his voice softer. You just need to tell Grandma that you're doing fine. Say that we've taken good care of you. That's all. I stared at him, not believing what I was hearing. You want me to lie? After everything that's happened? We're family, Rachel, Dad said, like that alone should settle it. Family. I stood up, shaking with anger. Family doesn't let their kid go hungry. Family doesn't lie. Family doesn't sacrifice one child to save the other. I took a deep breath, tears streaming down my face. I lost almost 20 pounds my first semester. Mia had to lend me money for food. There were days I was so hungry I couldn't even study. If it was that bad, why didn't you call us? Dad asked. I looked straight at Mom. I did call. And what did you say? Get another job, you're just lazy. Mom lowered her head. She couldn't deny it. Logan is your brother, Mom whispered. He needed to be loved. And I didn't. My voice cracked. My whole life I was just a shadow. Logan got a car, I got a bike. Logan got praise no matter what. I got silence no matter how hard I tried. Dad tried to say something but I cut him off. Let's be honest. You chose him. Not me. And again, you let me struggle while pouring everything into him. For what? Has he gotten better? Did all that money save him? Their silence was the clearest answer. Logan is our son, Mom whispered. And I'm your daughter. I burst out like a scream I had buried for years. Mom started crying, covering her face with shaking hands. Dad patted her shoulder awkwardly, like he had no idea what to do. Rachel, please understand. Logan really has problems. As parents, we couldn't just turn our backs on him. I took a deep breath to calm myself. I understand. He needs help. But helping him by destroying me, that was your choice. And I can't accept it. Mom looked up, mascara smudged down her cheeks. What do we do now? Logan's in trouble again. He owes money to some dangerous people. We need Grandma's help. That's not my problem, I replied, surprised by how firm my voice sounded. How can you be so heartless? Mom sobbed. He's your brother. A brother I barely recognize. A brother you've put above me my entire life. I walked to the door. I won't talk to Grandma about the will. You made your choices. Now live with the consequences. You're so selfish. Mom stood up. Something inside me snapped hearing that word again. Selfish, the same one she used when I simply asked about the money Grandma promised. Get out. I yelled, not caring who in the dorm could hear. I don't want to see you again. I lost you both a long time ago, when you chose Logan and left me behind. They left. Mom was crying, her face turned away. Dad looked defeated. The door closed behind them and I collapsed onto my bed, shaking. About an hour later Mia came back. She saw me, said nothing and just sat next to me, holding my hand. That bad, huh? Worse. I told Mia everything. She gave a low whistle. Your parents are something else. Did they at least apologize? Not a single word. I stared up at the ceiling. They just wanted me to convince Grandma to change the will so they could get more money to pay Logan's debts. Unbelievable. Mia squeezed my hand. What are you going to do now? Keep living, I said, then realized. I actually meant it. Focus on school, keep the weekend job because I enjoy it, and not let them drag me down anymore. In the weeks that followed, I poured all my energy into school. Without the constant weight of financial stress, everything seemed brighter. I bought textbooks instead of fighting for library copies, ate full meals every day, and finally replaced my worn-out shoes. Grandma Helen called every Sunday. I started to look forward to those calls. She never pressured me to make peace with my parents. She just listened, then shared little stories from her youth that made me laugh. You know, she once said, I used to be the forgotten child too. Really? My sister was the beauty, my brother the genius. And me, invisible. But I built my own life and found people who loved me for who I was. Just like you are now. One evening while I was studying in the library, I got a message from my cousin. Did you hear about your parents' house? Called Grandma. She told me everything. They had to sell it. Logan's in deep with loan sharks. It's bad. Do you want me to help them? She asked gently. I was silent for a long time. No. They had their chance. And they chose to give me up. 3 months passed without a single word from them, and I didn't reach out either. Spring semester began, and for the first time in my life I truly thrived. Without juggling 2 jobs, I could finally focus on each class. My GPA jumped from 2.8 to 3.7. After one class, my psychology professor asked me to stay back. Your essay was incredibly insightful. Have you considered applying for a research assistant position? In the past, I would have immediately declined because of work. But now I nodded enthusiastically. I'd love to. When's the application deadline? That evening, while I was writing my application, Mia burst into the room waving a flyer. Spring break trip to San Diego. The whole group's going. You have to come. My first instinct was to say no, an old habit from when every dollar had to be accounted for. But then I remembered, I don't have to live like that anymore. I'm in. I smiled. Mia's jaw dropped. What? No, I can't afford it. Or, I have to work. Nope, I said. I saved a little from what Grandma sent me. And I deserve to have fun. Who are you and what did you do with the old Rachel? She laughed, throwing a pillow at me. A week before break, my aunt, my mom's younger sister, called. Rachel, thought you should know. Your parents are renting a small apartment now. The money from the house sale barely covered most of Logan's debt. They're basically left with nothing. I felt a flicker of sympathy, and quickly let it go. That was their choice, Aunt Kathy. I know. I'm not telling you what to do. I just thought, you should know. That night after hanging up, I sat on my bed, thinking about Logan. Despite everything, I couldn't hate him. He was a victim of his addiction, yes, but also of my parents' blind enabling. They never taught him to face consequences. Only cleaned up after each mess he made. I called Grandma Helen. "You okay?" she asked the moment she picked up. "I think I am," I said, surprised to realize I meant it. "I feel sad for them, but I don't feel responsible anymore." "Good. Because you're not," her voice was firm. "Your job is to build your own life." And that's exactly what I did. The San Diego spring break trip was like a dream I'd never dared to have. Warm sun, blue waves, and loud laughter with friends. For the first time I bought a nice swimsuit without checking the price tag. I ordered whatever I wanted at restaurants. I even tried parasailing for the first time. When I returned to campus, sun-kissed and happier than ever, there was a letter in my student mailbox. I recognized my mother's handwriting instantly. I nearly threw it out, but curiosity got the better of me. "Rachel, we've moved into a smaller apartment. The address is below if you ever want to visit. Logan is in an inpatient rehab center. The doctor says this time might bring progress. We've done a lot of thinking. We made mistakes, serious ones. We can't undo the past, but we want you to know. We're proud of you for standing on your own." No apology. No acknowledgement of the harm they'd caused. Just a few short lines and an address I had no intention of visiting. I showed the letter to Mia. She shook her head. "That's it. After everything, that's all they have to say." I folded the letter and tucked it into my desk drawer. I hadn't expected more anyway. As the semester went on, I thought less and less about my parents and Logan. Instead, I was busy with classes, the weekend cafe job I genuinely loved, and the research assistant position I just started. At the end of April, Grandma Helen came to visit. She took me shopping and then out to a fancy restaurant. "How are you really?" she asked as dessert was served. Smiled. "I'm really good. Honestly. I never thought life could feel this light." "As it should at your age," she said, squeezing my hand. "Your only job now is to learn and grow." I told her about the letter. Her eyebrows rose slightly. "No apology. Just said they'd moved, Logan's in rehab. That's it. Are you going to reply?" "Not yet. Maybe one day. But not now." "Then take your time. No one has the right to rush you," Grandma nodded. As finals approached, I poured all my energy into studying. My psychology professor said if I kept up my grades, I'd have a shot at a summer research scholarship. One evening, as I was walking back to my dorm from the library, my phone rang. Unknown number. "Hello, Rachel." A familiar male voice. "It's Logan. I'm calling from the treatment center. Part of recovery is apologizing to the people we've hurt." I sat down on a bench, my heartbeat slowing. "I know Mom and Dad took your money for me. Used it for gambling. I just wanted to say, sorry. I didn't know at the time. But I do now. Even if it's too late." "Knowing doesn't fix anything," I said quietly. "I don't expect forgiveness. I just want you to know. For the first time, I really understand what I've done. And I'm sorry." After the call ended, I sat there for a long time. Students passed by, reviewing notes, laughing with friends, living their ordinary lives. Just like I finally was. It was the first real apology I'd ever received from anyone in my family. I don't know if Logan will stay clean this time. I don't know if my parents will ever truly understand what they did. But what I do know is, it doesn't matter anymore. My life is no longer defined by someone else's mistakes. I have my own path, full of opportunity, friendship, and a future I chose for myself. Whatever happens with my family from here on out, I know I'll be okay. Rachel Moore's story is a testament to the power of personal strength and self-worth. Despite being abandoned by her family, cut off financially, and overshadowed by an addicted brother, Rachel stood tall, became independent, and overcame every obstacle. Thanks to the love and faith of her grandmother, she rediscovered her value and rebuilt a hopeful life. This story reminds us that sometimes, growing up means letting go of those who chose not to stay. What do you think about Rachel's choice? Should she forgive her family or continue walking her own path? Share your thoughts in the comments below, And don't forget to follow the channel for more powerful family stories like this one.